Hey y'all, Bill Quirk with the Defensive Training Group and shootgtr. Here to do another quick video. Today we're going to be talking about home defense. So a lot of times when people come to me and ask me, well, I want to defend my home, I'm interested in home defense, what kind of gun should I get? And I'll put the brakes on that because there are a lot of things we need to talk about before we ever get to the gun. The gun is really the last line of defense. Home defense, for protecting your home, has many stages that we need to go through to, first of all, make the house as unattractive for a bad guy in the first place. And then secondly, if the bad guy does decide they want to get in, harden the house so that it's very difficult for them to actually breach into the home. When I say unattractive, going back to the first one, I don't mean physically unattractive, but how do we encourage a bad guy to look at our house and go, yeah, that's not the one I'm going to try and get into? And back when I was doing burglary investigation, I talked to a lot of different bad guys, burglars, that said, that house just didn't look like it was going to be a good target, but this one looked like a much easier prospect for me. Or maybe this house had indicators that they had good stuff inside and that I really wanted to get. So it was worth, they have an alarm or they have an alarm sign, but it's worth for me to try because I think they've got good stuff. So making the house unattractive, making it appear that it's going to be a daunting challenge for this bad guy, that's the first thing we want to do. Different ways that we do that. Number one, we don't want to give away our secrets. So we'll see, especially around Christmas time or after Black Friday or something along those lines, you'll see people have bought new stuff, a new big screen TV or a new computer or high value items. And when they unbox them, they just take the box out and throw it by the curb for the garbage guys to come and get. You're just advertising to the world, hey, I got good stuff in my house. So cut those boxes up, break them up, actually stick them into the garbage can so that you're not telling everybody, hey, I got good stuff in my house. So that's the first thing that you can do. Get to know your neighbors. This is something that people don't think about, especially in today's day and age. A lot of times we don't know our neighbors. Back when I was a kid, I knew all of my neighbors. But in my cul-de-sac right now, I at least know everybody that lives there. And I have a good idea what their vehicles are and who should be or should not be coming and going from that home. When someone in the cul-de-sac goes on vacation, they let us know. The only person that's going to be at the house while I'm gone is X, Y, and Z, whatever the case may be. If you don't know your neighbors, or by extension, your neighbors don't know you, and if somebody shows up at the house and starts doing something, because there's no personal connection, they may not even pay attention in the first place. But if they do pay attention, because they don't know who should or should not be there, they're going to have a harder time evaluating, is this something suspicious or is this just someone that I don't know because I don't even know who lives there. So get to know your neighbors. That's a good early warning system for you, a good support structure. With the house itself, good exterior lighting. Make sure that you've got good exterior lighting. At my house in the front, there are lights that come on automatically as soon as the sun goes down, and they stay on all night long. They are set up so that they're somewhat dim until somebody approaches, then they go on bright. And they're decorative. They don't look like floodlights. They're carriage style lights, I think is what they call. But they're decorative, but they still have that high-low capacity. On the sides of my house and the rear of my house, those are floodlights, and those are all motion sensors. So if you approach the house, those lights come on and they're very bright and they've got a good spread so that there's nowhere for you to hide. Bad guys don't like light. They like darkness. They like the cover of darkness. Keeping the house well maintained, keeping your grass trimmed, keeping your bushes cut. The appearance that this house is well maintained, we care about it, that in and of itself can dissuade a bad guy because they're like, yeah, these people apparently care, the house is well maintained, they're probably not as likely to have left the door unlocked or something along those lines. Additionally, keeping your bushes trimmed, that's going to be a big one because we don't want our bushes to be so high that someone can hide between the bush and the house and maybe work on prying a window or a door or whatever the case may be. So keeping those bushes trimmed down so that someone from the street can see there's no opportunity for you to hide and try to breach the home. That's a good thing to consider. Having a sign out front that says you have an alarm system, whether you have an alarm system or not, bad guys do notice that. Having a sign that says you have a bad dog, whether you have a bad dog or not, bad guys notice that. Ring cameras in today's generation of technology, that's a big one that a lot of bad guys, they see those things and they don't like the presence of the Ring camera. Because it suggests that maybe there are other cameras around the home. And a very common technique that bad guys will use, this is for daytime burglaries, is they'll approach the home, knock on the door, and if somebody answers, they'll say, hey, I lost my dog, and whatever, there's some excuse for knocking on your door. If nobody answers, they go around the back and they try to breach from the rear. But because you have a Ring camera, their likeness, their photograph has been captured, so they can't really use that strategy because they're now on video. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out someone knocked on my door and then a minute later somebody tried to break in through the back. So Ring cameras. Actually locking your doors. Seems common sense, but a lot of people don't. Actually locking your doors is huge. Further, reinforcing the jambs. So in standard construction, the sill plate, the plate that the deadbolt or the locking latch on the doorknob engages, that is only connected by little short screws that go into just the trim piece of the door frame. Take those out, pitch them, get longer wood screws, 2.5 inch, 3 inch screws, and drive them all the way in so they go through the door frame itself into the stud. It makes it a lot harder to breach that door. Now I will tell you, as someone who has kicked in doors in my career, kicking a door in is not as easy as you see on TV. But you can make it a lot more difficult, a lot more challenging for a bad guy to breach. If you have an alarm, use it. Okay, that's something else we see. Yeah, I've got an alarm, but it wasn't turned on. It's not going to help you much there. A dog, having a dog that has a good bark, not necessarily that's going to attack, but sounds like it might, that can be a good source of prevention because bad guys, dogs are unpredictable. They think, oh, well, the police have rules and citizens aren't going to do something. Well, they know the dog doesn't care. The dog is going to do what the dog does. So having a dog, that's another good thing. Once we get all those things, we have all those layers of the onion prepared, then we can start talking about some sort of firearm as a defensive tool. And so when we get to that point of the conversation, I get asked a lot, well, what do you recommend? Should I have a rifle, a shotgun, handgun? What do you think is the best? And that answer, those of you that know me, I rarely will give you a yes or a no. It's always a lot of nuance there, and this is no different. So in the case of selection of a firearm, we have to look at the mission and what are we going to be doing and how are we going to be utilizing the firearm. So when I cover these things in class, something that I will encourage is absent, you're at home, you're in your bedroom, you hear the sound of breaking glass, someone's trying to break in a window or kick in your door or whatever. Absent a specific reason for you to leave your bedroom and go find out what that noise is, I'm going to encourage you to stay there. And I misspoke there. So absent a specific reason for you to leave your safe room, I'm going to encourage you to stay there. I don't want you to consider going to see what that noise is as a valid reason, because generally speaking, that's not going to be something that you want to do. If you can stay where you're at, stay where you are. Let them come to you. Access 911, barricade in place, access your home defense firearm, let them come to you. It's a lot safer for you. Trying to clear a structure, even your own structure by yourself, is fraught with danger. Basically, you have too many angles to look at. You don't have enough eyeballs to do all the looking. So if you can stay where you are, stay where you are. Now, if you have a child across the house or an elderly parent that you have to go and get, that's different. There are different strategies for that. But this philosophy of do I leave my safe room or do I not, that's going to factor into what kind of weapon we use. So if we're going to barricade in place, then maybe a long gun might be an acceptable choice. Certainly, all things being equal, and they're not always equal, but all things being equal, the rifle or the shotgun gives you more power in a package and generally are easier for you to shoot. The handgun, not quite as powerful, but it's easier for you to manipulate. So if we're going to stay in place and we're not trying to work our way down a hallway or something, the rifle, the shotgun, I do have those available as part of my home protection plan. But if we look at, and this is the point that I'm going to make, if we look at the most likely scenario, which is a knock on the door in the middle of the night, it's not someone breaching the home, it's someone pounding on our front door. Leaving your bedroom to go see what that is, or you hear a noise, you don't think it's anything, but you just want to go and give yourself peace of mind. So it's not like we heard the door get kicked in or the window shatter. We just heard something, didn't sound right. We're going to go see what it is. Maneuvering down that hallway using a handgun might be a better choice for you because this is easier for us to maneuver with. Going and answering the door in the middle of the night. If you look at the odds, chances are that's not something nefarious. It's not a bad guy. It's law enforcement that's come to your home for whatever reason. Someone reported hearing a scream or something, and they're not sure which house it came from. It may very well be a neighbor that is in distress and requires assistance, and they're coming to you for help. Answering the door with a long gun is a little bit more in your face kind of thing than with a handgun. I can answer the door with a handgun. Yes, can I help you? And no one even knows that I've got the handgun. Hey, it's sheriff's office. We need somebody reported a scream. We need to make sure you're okay. All right, well, give me 1 second and I can put the gun down, open the door, and and speak to law enforcement. If it's a neighbor that needs assistance, same type of idea. Whereas if I've got the long gun in my hand, that might not be so good. If I do have to leave my bedroom in order to go get a child or an elderly parent, the long gun can prove to be a complication. Now, it is possible for you to shoot the gun with only one hand. That is certainly true. I teach classes where we cover that, but it's a lot easier with just the handgun. So if you have to go and get a child or your parent or whatever the case may be, having that handgun, that gives you easier access to your spare hand to accomplish that task. So the question of what should I use is not always as simple as it may appear at first. Because people will say, well, shotgun's more powerful, the rifle's easier to shoot. Those are clearly the best choice. Well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. We need to look a little bit deeper into the mission. What am I going to be doing and what am I capable of doing? Do I have any experience with clearing a structure? I teach classes out here, got them coming up this weekend as a matter of fact, where I break those things down from a home defender type of perspective. Not from a SWAT team, not from Delta Force making an entry, but from an ordinary person that's having to clear their structure or in another circumstance, fight their way out of an office building or something like that. So do you have experience doing that? Do you know the right way to clear a structure and the wrong way to clear a structure? How experienced are you with the firearm? Are you comfortable running a long gun with only one hand? All these different things factor in. So it's not just a simple, well, you should do this, you should do this. All things being equal, sure, a long gun maybe does have some advantages, but not all things are equal. So these are things to consider. These are things we talk about in class. Another example of why you should come out and get some good training. But hope you found this informative. If you do have any questions, give us a question below. Give us a like if you like the video. Reach out to me at the range. I'm certainly accessible. But if you do have questions, please ask them because that's what we're here for. So till next time, y'all stay safe.